there everyone, I just thought I'd do a quick video on how I bath Edgar whenever he has a bath, which is usually every few months when his coat gets a bit greasy. Sorry for the ponytail, that does come in the camera every so often. So obviously start with some warm water, get the cat nice and wet, and the first shampoo you've just seen me use there is called White on White. So this is really good specifically for obviously white coats. You can leave it on for about 10 minutes, which is quite good if you really got a bit of a stained coat and you want to really brighten and whiten that up. I don't leave it on for that long on Edgar because he's actually quite white all the time, so I probably only leave it on for a couple of minutes, and then obviously we rinse it right off. As I was saying before, I tend to only bath Edgar every few months when his coat gets greasy. Obviously sometimes if they get mucky, then they do need a bath, so it's something that's good, particularly with your long haired breeds, something to get them used to from a young age. What I usually do is keep the shower head running just to keep that warm water going under his feet so he doesn't get too cold. So this next shampoo I'm using is called Thick and Thicker, which is supposed to give them a nice thick fluffy coat. So again, you can leave this one in for a couple of minutes and then just rinse off. So I'm making sure I get it in between his legs and his belly because they're the areas that actually get the greasiest. And also the tail's important as well, especially in those boys with those little oily scent glands that they have on their tails, which is particularly noticeable if you have a white cat. Now I do try and avoid his face as much as possible with the water because obviously no cat particularly likes to get water all over their face. So his head's a little bit damp. I sort of use my hand to get it wet, but I don't directly put the shower head on his face because he would not appreciate that. So this this is more like a conditioner that I'm using. It's called After You Bath, and it smells really good as well. So this is like a conditioner, so you'd use it as you would when you condition your own hair, working right the way through the coat. I mean, you could use a brush if you wanted to really brush it through, but I just use my hands. And while I'm letting that soak in, I'm just going to give his face a little bit of a clean, get any bits of food and other bits that he's collected on his face off. So yeah, I'm just getting a little microfiber cloth, which I use to clean his face anyway, and just with a bit of water to dampen it, I'm just cleaning around his eyes. I have got another video which shows me doing all his eye stain removing and things like that, if you want to check that one out. So I'm just rinsing off his After You Bath conditioner. He's a very good boy. I'm very lucky, and he's so well behaved and lets me do all of this. Cool, so that's bathing done. So I'm just sort of squeezing off his feet and his tail and his little pantaloons at the back there, just to try and get some excess water off before I take him to the towel to get him dried off. Just going to happen in a sec. There he is. So I'm just going to give him a rub down with the towel, and then we've got our ice on ice spray. So you can use this on a dry coat as well, but it's basically like a detangling spray. So I'm just going to work it through with my fingers, but you can comb or brush it through as well, and that just helps with any knots. So so that's what that one is. So here we are, heading to the bedroom so that we can get properly dried. So there we are. I would really recommend getting a blaster. This wasn't a particularly expensive one. I can't quite remember how much it was. It was off Amazon, but it was definitely less than £100, and it dries a cat or a dog so much quicker than a hairdryer. So I would definitely recommend. They are a lot louder than a hairdryer, so you do have to get them used to it. Edgar and to be honest, all of my pets don't particularly like it around their face because of how noisy it is, but it's great on their body. These big thick long coats take a long time to dry, so definitely worth persevering and seeing if you can get them used to it. Lots of treat and patience, and just keeping it away from their head. Sometimes they like to bury your head, so Edgar sometimes buries his head in my lap, and that just makes him feel a little bit safer. And it's really good to just move the coat through your fingers just to get that air right down to the skin. That really helps to dry it. And obviously you can get a brush at the same time if you have that many hands, and brush as you dry, and that really helps too. So this is a great way of actually keeping a coat like not so greasy in between baths. Also makes your cat smell really nice. So again, especially if you've got a white cat, baby powder or talc, I tend to just put it on the brush, and then I sort of backcomb the coat, because that just gets the powder right down to the root and the skin. And yeah, this is just a really good way if you think, oh, that coat's looking a little bit greasy, but I don't quite have time to do a bath yet. You can just do that as sort of a maintenance in between, and it helps, especially around the back end, helps stop little poo nuggets getting stuck back there as well, because the coat's nice and dry and fluffy. And I said he smells amazing as well, so that's always good. So yeah, that's just another thing that I do. You could do it after you've dried them as well, just to help get rid of any of sort of leftover moisture on the coat. I tend to leave Edgar's head a little bit damp because, as I said before, he doesn't really like the blaster on his head, so I just let his head dry naturally. And there you go, all bathed and blow dried, looking beautiful, handsome little floof ball. Thanks for watching, guys.